Hey, Donna Price here with Visionary Womenpreneurs Radio. Thank you for joining me. Here at Visionary Womenpreneurs Radio, we talk with women who are changing the world through their visionary businesses. And today I am thrilled to have Veronica Sagastume here with us to talk about becoming a consultant and starting your own consulting business as someone that is in their job right now. Veronica Sagastume is a business strategist, CFO consultant, and all-around powerhouse with a passion for helping corporate accounting professionals monetize their experience to start, run, and grow their own profitable consulting businesses. After a 20-year corporate career as an accounting and finance executive in the San Francisco Bay Area, Veronica faced a personal life event which led her to make the bold decision to trade her corner office for a home office. In 2011, Veronica left her CFO position to start her own consulting practice to work with startup companies. Fueled by her experience, Veronica skyrocketed her practice to quick success. In 2016, she ventured online to teach other accounting and tax professionals how they too could use their expertise to make a greater impact, increase their freedom, while significantly increasing their earning potential. She has built a thriving consulting and coaching business from the comfort of her own home and is excited to share her journey with us today. Veronica, thank you so much for joining me, and please let's all welcome Veronica Sagastume. Great. Veronica, welcome to Visionary Womenpreneurs Radio. I'm so thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you for inviting me to be a guest, Donna. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Definitely. I think that you have such an interesting journey because you've come out of corporate, created your own consulting business, and you're sharing with others how they can do the same thing, which is so important as people are losing jobs and not being able to keep their jobs. Having other alternatives is key. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you decided to start your own company.
I think that initially I went the traditional route, as many of us do, right? Especially growing up in a family where go to college, get a good job, do all the things in a certain order. I did do a lot of that. I didn't do all of it in that order that they wanted me to, but I definitely did go the traditional route of going to school, getting my accounting and finance degree, and going to get a corporate job so that I could start my career in accounting. And that happened in the 80s, late 80s, just to, go back in time. But what I always had in me was this very big desire to learn systems and operations. And so my career led me to the Silicon Valley. I live in Northern California. So early on, I got exposed to the Silicon Valley startup companies, and that required the accounting background and marrying it with technology and systems, automation, operations is what we call it. And so that started a very aggressive career in the accounting, finance, and operations world. And I climbed up that corporate ladder that many of us that, go into corporate America strive for, and ultimately achieving that, what we call a C-level, the chief executive level of that corporate career by being chief financial officer or a chief operating officer. And I literally had the corner office in San Francisco with a team that I loved. It's like so many of us reference that corner office. I had it. So,
right.
But with that corporate office and that level of, that executive level comes a lot of stress and responsibilities, along with perks and the compensation, absolutely, especially being in the Silicon Valley or in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
We get that stock option package. It's all alluring and absolutely what they call, the carrot that they, they show, right? They get you in that way. And for a long time, I pursued that, and it served me really well. But there came a point where on a personal level, I was raised by my grandparents, and I had my one grandmother left, and she was the one that was my original life coach and the person that taught me to be the person that I am today. I just attribute so much of my core values and also my personality to her, that she broke her ankle and she needed a lot of physical therapy. She was already in her early 90s, living by herself, very independent. independently in San Francisco. And in the San Francisco homes, if anybody knows the Bay Area, we have very steep staircases. I swear sometimes it felt like it was 100 steps to get to the front door. And so there was no way she was going to be able to rehabilitate at home. We needed to make sure she was in a good physical therapy kind of place. But I also knew that I was the closest one to her, or I could get her to do things that the physical therapist was not going to be able to get her to do. And I found myself torn, that guilt that comes with you're not being present in any one place.
Yeah.
I was constantly having to ask for time off, or not asking, but justifying where I was going to be and why I couldn't be certain places at work.
Yeah.
When I was with my grandmother, I felt guilty about not being with my team and, leading projects or being at certain meetings, and being torn and, just kind of like being stretched so thin that by the time I got home to my own house, my own home life, there was nothing left. It was that constant guilt-ridden daily activity of not showing up as the best version of myself anywhere.
Yeah.
That started the wheels turning of like, I'm exhausted all the time. And also having the self-awareness, and thank God I had it, because I knew that my grandmother wasn't going to be around forever. And I did not want to regret choosing work over being with her.
Wow.
And it came down to that. It just came down to me whenever I walked in, her face being lit up and not taking for granted the fact that she'd recognized me when I walked through the door, or that she was happy to see me, and that's where I needed to be. And I could have taken a leave of absence from my job, but I also realized that I could just maybe not go back. I would have to go back to that same routine at some point, and I didn't want to do that. And I thought, I have built enough of a reputation and a network that I could probably go out on my own. I've helped all these businesses to, grow beyond, whatever we expectation we set out. Why couldn't I do that for myself?
Yeah.
And that's when I started to think about, I need to make a change. What are the steps that I need to do in order to make that change?
That's great. I think that so many people are in that position of high stress job. Maybe they don't have the corner office, maybe they do. But once you've shifted into your own business, could you ever go back? Like now that you've been in this more free place?
I could not.
Yeah.
I could not. I mean, I never say never, like I just said it, but I don't like that word, because you just don't know what opportunity may come along, or the person is, maybe it's somebody that you have worked with before, and it just sounds like the right opportunity at the right time.
True.
It would have to be a big, everything would have to align and come into place, right? But I don't see that, because even though starting your own business is also stressful, it comes with its own challenges, obstacles, or also just excitement and adventure. It also takes a lot of mindset shifting and energy to start your own business and to grow it, to run it. But it's your own thing, and it doesn't feel like work. And you have the flexibility to be able to take 2 or 3 hours off in the middle of your day. You can, do that for your own business and work a little bit later, or work on the weekend if you need to be more present in your life for whatever life event is calling for you to be there at that time, without having the guilt, or, without feeling like you're letting people down. You are responsible and in charge of your business. So create a business that will suit the life that you want.
Definitely.
No, I couldn't go back. No. Couldn't go back. How about you, Don? I'm going to turn it on you. How about you? Could you go back?
I don't know that I could go back totally. I could create something different. So I do think about, creating something different or in addition to. But I think that it is a mindset shift, and like the mindset, my background is in nonprofit management, so different from yours, but coming into your own business, like my clients used to be waiting to, like there was a waiting list. So, you had to learn business, like so many business owners have to learn, like people aren't just waiting at the door. for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's a lot of pieces to learn and a shift in mindset for sure. But I love the
Absolutely.
freedom of, like you said, being able to take, you know, a couple hours off in the afternoon or shift your schedule. If you have to drive grandma to an appointment, or in my case, my mom to an appointment, you can do it. And you're not asking permission from somebody to do it. So
Exactly.
that is appealing. So right now, is it a good time to be starting a consulting business? Because you work with people on coming out of that corporate environment and starting their business.
It's you know, we're recording this in the midst of being in a pandemic, a quarantine. I mean, nothing like this has ever happened in our lifetime anyway. And the conversations that I have now are very different than the ones I was having 6 months ago.
Right.
Because now I'm speaking to people who are either, they fall into one of three categories. Either they're still at their job, but their company has had layoffs or furloughs, as they call them in corporate, or they have been laid off because of no fault of their own, or they had already started to, you know, kind of venture into starting their own thing. And now more than ever, there's this urgency to want to get it going faster because they know that they can't count on their 9-to-5 job, which, by the way, I don't know why we call it 9-to-5, right?
Yeah,
I don't know
right.
about you, but I barely worked 9-to-5. And so with that, those conversations are now me having to, you know, kind of walk them through. You can absolutely get started. You can start small. You can start fast. It's up to how much work they want to put into it. But it's the right time because we know that it's out of our control. Right now, this pandemic and how it's hitting the economic, whatever the economic situation is for their business, their company that employs them, they can't count on that. And they should be proactively thinking about what can I do with what I already know, the knowledge, the experience, the skill sets that I have accumulated. What can I do so that I can be better prepared if that happens to me, or just start it anyway and have it as a side thing that they can count on in addition to maybe having their job or to replace their job. So it is absolutely one of the best times because of technology. We can start a consulting business and deliver the service from our home office because everybody's now very used to, especially in the last 3 months, they're a lot more comfortable with having to work from home, doing the virtual thing, whether it's Zoom or Skype or any other platform. They can see now that it can be done.
Definitely. So one of the things you said is preparing while you're still in your job. And that seems ideal because you are still in your 9-to-5, or your 9-to-9 or whatever it is. And you can start small and start building it while you're doing that. And that probably feels safer to some people.
Exactly. I often refer to, if you're still in your corporate job and you want to start taking steps towards starting your own consulting business, a freelancer, you know, place whatever you want in that slot, but you can think of your employer as your first angel investor. That's the Silicon Valley in me, you know, your employer, you absolutely stay in your job and do your job, but they're also investing in you to provide you with that, you know, paycheck while you're pursuing this side business and, you know, see how it goes, see if you like it even. Because there are a lot of times when I recommend to my clients that if you're starting a consulting business, start it small and start it on the side because you may not like it. There's a different role, there's a different mindset that happens between being an employee or even an employee where if you've had a management role or an executive role, there's a big shift between that and being a consultant with clients. So yeah, one of the main things also, I have we can talk about this later too, but one of the resources it's a free resource guide that I created a while back. It's called Nurture Your Network without being annoying. But that's something that many people can start doing while they're still at their 9-to-5, is to reconnect maybe some of those neglected relationships that you let go of. We've all accumulated people that we met along the way, whether we worked with them, we worked for them, we met them at a conference, at a workshop, at a training, at a charity event, whatever. It is a great time while you're still at your 9 to 5 to start reconnecting with these people that you may think they may be interested in whatever service you're going to ultimately be offering.
Definitely. So where would people find that guide, Nurture Your Network?
It's if you go to my website, veronicasagastume.com, and I know that's a hard name to remember, so I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes.
I will.
But I have a resource tab at the very top of the website. If you go to that resource tab, the Nurture Your Network guide is there. And I love that guide because it also comes with email templates that you can customize and make your own. And I tell you what email to send when in order to reconnect with that neglected contact. And it's kind of like a journey, right? You're reconnecting. Yep. You don't just reach out to them. I'm sure, Donna, you received these emails or LinkedIn notification out of the blue where you haven't spoken to that person in a year or 2 or 3. And right off the bat, it's like, hey, remember me? We haven't talked for a while. And then it's a sales pitch.
Yes.
That's just the wrong way to do it. So that Nurture Your Network email sequence allows you to reignite, reconnect, reengage with that contact and truly build that relationship up again. It's never too late to do that.
Definitely. So. And email is a great platform for doing that. And I think a lot of people,
absolutely.
I keep hearing people say, oh, email is dead. And it's like, no, not dead at all. But, getting the templates from you would be a great way to start. And I believe, you want your emails to be you and authentic, have your voice. So take the templates, tweak them so that it's coming from you. But email is definitely a powerful way to nurture relationships and connect with your past contacts or your current contacts and stay in touch with people.
I agree. And there always comes a point, and I do include that in the guide, where you make the invitation to hop on a call, or whether it's Skype, Zoom, or the actual just a phone call, where it's just your voice. And there comes a point where you make that invitation so that it doesn't feel so out of the blue and abrupt. It's like, there's this heaviness that comes with you're being pitched and you're like, I can't. But if it's a genuine connection, there's definitely a way to do it the right way. So I hope your audience will go grab that guide. It's free, so no obligation.
Definitely. Thank you for providing that. So what are some signs that somebody could look at that they're ready to become an independent consultant? How do you know that you could do it? Because everyone has that little voice in their head that's saying that they can't do it. So,
we need... It's like I call her like the mean girl, it's like, we need to silence that mean girl. It's like, exactly. Come on now.
It's like if you heard somebody saying those things to your kid or your godchild, you'd say, no, you don't talk like that to my kid.
In a second, we would shut it down. It's like, but we don't do that for ourselves. So it's a habit. Get in the habit of telling that mean girl, be quiet. There's no room for you here.
Definitely.
I have several different signs, but one of them is, I come from the accounting and finance background. So in that world, it can get very repetitive. So boredom is part of when you're feeling like antsy to do something different, something new. If you're feeling like you're reliving Groundhog's Day in your routine of your job and you're starting to get a little antsy, that's one sign. And another one could be just that you're not feeling like your career is progressing fast enough with to match the ambition that you have. Because I do want to state that sometimes we think our career should accelerate or be progressing a lot faster, but we haven't put in the work. And we need to know that, we have to pay certain dues, and that comes with gaining experience, being exposed to certain things. I think back to, I was interviewing for a position at a company many years ago, and I asked the young man, some typical questions about what were his goals, where did he see for his future, what really interested him. And he basically said to me, I want your job in less than 5 years. between where he was coming out of school, maybe 2 years out of school, and where I was maybe 20 years of experience. And I'm like, admire the gumption, but you're not going to, if somebody hires you for my position just with 2 years of experience, their foundation is not there. And so when I talk about, maybe your career is not accelerating, you have to be realistic with what it is that you want. But of course, there's always exceptions to that rule. But I'm saying, like, a sign could be that you want more for your career, your life, and that you want to make a bigger impact, but you're kind of like stuck in this, especially in a larger corporate job, right? You're like, stay in your lane. That's your job. That's not your job. And so you could get very frustrated with that. And so the sign is either you're bored or you're feeling frustrated. And that's when you start to think about, what are you frustrated with? Start to do some self-assessment. Why are you bored? What can you do about not, maybe transferring to another department? Or is that really a sign that you're ready to start something new? Do you have enough experience that you could then start consulting, offering a service to someone that would benefit from that service that you provide?
Yeah. Great things for people to look at. So we talked a little about email, but are there other ways that you use to find consulting clients when you're just getting started, like from your network or from beyond your network?
I always, in my early days when I first started my consulting practice, I was always thinking about, who have I already worked with that I loved? And that goes back to your network. There's different levels of your network. There's people that you have worked with, worked for, or that you just met at a conference or a workshop or through other types of events. But when I started thinking about, who have I worked with that I loved, that was a very small list. And then it was like, where are they at? Doing a little bit of research as to what companies they were with, articles, that they had published, and then thinking about, how could I provide a service that they may need, because I needed to think about how I was going to pitch or promote or reach out, that direct outreach, to position myself in a way that was like, here's why you need me. Here's how I can help you. Not all about me, like, look at me, look what I'm doing. Have you heard what I'm up to? It's about, hey, I read this, that you're with this company, and I read that you guys are about to launch this one thing. And I don't know if you remember, but I have a lot of experience with this piece of software, or with this. I can think of if I can give an example, Donna.
Definitely.
I had a colleague many years ago, and she was so good with a certain accounting software, and it's NetSuite. It's a very popular accounting software, and most people know QuickBooks. Everybody knows Intuit, everybody knows QuickBooks, but NetSuite is like the next level up, and it takes a certain amount of expertise to know how to convert from a QuickBooks file to NetSuite, and how to train, and how to document, and how to test. Well, she had such expertise with that. She actually was thinking, could I become a consultant and just offer that? Of course she could. We talked it through. This was many years ago. And what she did is she just kind of made a little bit of an offer of saying, I help this type of client to do conversions from QuickBooks Enterprise to NetSuite. So she was very specific, because she knew she couldn't do them all. She couldn't offer everything. And then she spelled out exactly what she helped with, just about the value. It's like, I don't want to go into the details of that, but it's like she just went into the details of the benefit. I save you time by doing this. I provide training to keep you from making mistakes. And so for everything that we highlighted, it was the so what factor. It was that I do this so that it keeps you from that. And by doing that, when she went back to the network and thought about, who do I know? Who did I love working with? What are they doing? What system are you using, in case that they were not even, when the time comes? That was the other one, another email that we provided. We said, when the time comes and you're looking into systems, I have a great side-by-side assessment for you. So again, you're providing value without even pitching. When the time comes, I'll check in with you in about 3 months. And so when you ask me, besides email, it's about being also proactive and doing research, keeping keeping an eye, and you can do this. You can do Google alerts, or you can just, set time aside on your calendar to do research and be like, what are they up to? It's a small pool when you think of it, because when you're starting a consulting business, you don't need that many clients, and it starts with just one. Get that social proof and use that social proof as leverage to get that client some great results to then promote to the next client or the next prospect.
Definitely. And I think one of the things that you said is so key is providing value to people, and that consistency of follow-up, because, I always think like you said, LinkedIn, they're pitching you right away. Well, I'm not in the buy now mode as soon as I meet you, most of the time, like there's certain things where you're in like a bot, like I've got to have it now. Like the windshield on your car gets cracked. Okay, now I've got to go get it
Perfect
fixed.
example. Yeah, exactly. Flat tire, that flat tire you got on your way.
Yeah. But on LinkedIn, you're, pitching me your service. Like we just connected, you're pitching your service. I'm not ready for it yet. But if we've engaged and you're building that relationship and telling me about you, your service, why it's valuable to me, then when I'm ready for that, like I'm thinking about you as the person to go to. And I think that that's key in that email sequence or in your follow-up, just to be doing that research, but also be providing value along the way.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the follow-up. I hear this and I see it online, but I don't know if people really understand it. But, the follow-up, it keeps you top of mind. The follow-up continues the conversation to build that relationship. It is so crucial. Don't think that you're annoying people. Well, if you're following up the very next day and the very next day, that's a little annoying. But give the people a little bit of breathing room, and then just the follow-up doesn't mean you're pitching them, but it's sort of like checking in. How's it going? How are you doing? Right now, during this pandemic that we're in and quarantining, it's the perfect time to check in with people, to follow up. We've been in it for a while now. We touched base 3 months ago. How's it going now? Are you still doing okay? How's the family? It's such a great segue to go ahead and check in on people and continue the conversation.
Definitely. And that's the goal, continuing the conversation. And that's the piece that so many people miss, is that they think their goal is to make the sale. And right now the goal is the relationship and the conversation. So,
100%.
So how can having your own business impact your vision as a womanpreneur? Like, why is it different than having that job? And how are you a visionary womanpreneur?
What a great question. And that's what I love about your podcast too, Donna, because it's like right in the title, right? The Visionary Womenpreneurs. I think we are more in control when we have our own business about how we show up, and also to be aware that other people are watching us. We are leading by example. And for me personally, it's important that I walk the talk, that I set a good example, not only for my peers, but for the audience that I want to impact. And I definitely want to make sure that other females, that other women in the workplace, whatever age group you're in, that you see what's possible beyond maybe in corporate or beyond your corporate job, that you can show up, that you have control, and it's never too late to make a change, to make a pivot, to show up differently. Because at the end of the day, we all want to make an impact. And it doesn't matter if you just want to make an impact for yourself, for your home life, your family, or, your kids, or a bigger impact for more female entrepreneurs or more female, I would say, corporate employees who are in corporate America or just in any other job, and you feel like you're meant for more, you want to do more. You can still stay in your job, or you can still run in your business. And if you feel that need to want to make a bigger impact, fulfill it by whether it's you're volunteering, that's something that you believe in, or you become involved in something that you wanted to continue the tradition. I know that I do that with keeping my grandmother keeping my grandmother's memory alive is part of my commitment to, I go and work with at-risk youth who also don't have a great role model and also don't always speak the language. I was one of those kids. You know,
Right.
I was born in San Francisco, California, but I spent my childhood in another country. So when I came back here at 11 years old, I didn't know how to speak English. And I remember how wonderful some of my teachers were and how they gave so much of themselves, and come to find out that they were giving their own time to me. I found that much later. As a kid, you don't realize that.
Yeah.
And so for me, being a woman, a visionary woman, means thinking about the bigger role that I can play by being an example of what is possible, and also thinking about how I can show up as a better version of myself for them, because I'm so acutely aware that there's always somebody watching how you are doing, what you are saying, and you just don't even know the impact that you can make, and who's watching or who's hearing you that needed to hear that message in that moment. Once in a blue moon, we get to hear back from those people, but seldom. We just don't know the impact that we're going to make. So let's just keep showing up. And that's my goal. Keep showing up in a way that I can make a positive impact.
Very cool. Because you could, with the youth you work with, you're role modeling a strong woman, a woman in business, that a woman can have a business and her own business. And 30 years from now, you could have a kid come back and say, I started my business because of you. You know, you don't know that you've had that impact.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
And that's true for all of us. Like you said, we just don't know when we've said something that causes a shift for somebody else, or an aha, or an insight, or because we don't always get that feedback from people.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
I wish I could track down all my teachers. I just wanted to mention, it's like, I wish I could track down all my teachers, and just, I was able to track down a few, but not all, to just say, thank you. Thank you for the lunch hours. Thank you for the after school. Thank you for the little, the little writing on that English paper saying, great job, or just all those little things that teachers make such a great impact. And they don't hear enough from their students. The students move on.
Yes, and the students are very in their present, where they are. So once they've left a teacher, they're on to the next thing. So is there a downside to having your own business, or being a womanpreneur?
I definitely think that there are challenges that will come up, and the way to get through those challenges is to be aware of them and prepare as much as you can, but to also know that you can get through it. The downside, I would say, there's quite a few, right? But it's also not, if you do not invest enough into we go back to the word mindset. In corporate America, I never heard that word, but it was a different word. I just did not know that that's what it was. It was just having a positive attitude, or being a very forward thinker, or making sure that you spend time in visualizing, a great outcome. But when you go from an employee to a business owner, the mindset shift you have to strengthen that muscle. It is not one and done. You don't just go, okay, well, I'm going to work on my mindset and, think of, positive. You will have that mindset challenge to overcome at different levels as your business evolves, or as your business grows, or different things come up. You're constantly going to need to check in with your mind, with what are your thoughts, right? Your thoughts become your words become your actions. Where your thoughts go, your actions follow. And so it's one of those things that you need to invest time, probably maybe even invest in a course or a program or a coach, somebody that can help you. Because if you don't have the right mindset, any little bump in the road, as we know, being a business owner, you have those bumps. Any little bump may send you back to thinking that you should just go get a job. Yeah. In order to be an entrepreneur, a business owner, especially a female one, you need to have a resilient, presence. a resilient mindset. What is resilience? Like you get back up. You know, maybe somebody said something, especially in social media, somebody doesn't like something and they let you know.
Oh, yeah.
They let you know fast and furious.
That's right.
Or they say inappropriate things, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's kind of like, what are you going to let in your mind? What are you going to pay attention to? Who are you going to listen to? That's the other thing. It's like you need to make sure that if you don't have a solid support system at home or in your group of friends, family members, don't look to them. Go and find a community, especially nowadays in the online space. Go find a community, right? That can relate to what you're going through and that can support you and that you can be part of each other's journey. And, you know, not everybody goes through the same things at the same time. So you're able to truly be there for each other. And there's nothing like being in a group where people get you and are able to help you get through, and then you can help them as well. And so the downside is the mindset that needs to constantly be worked on, and the community that you need to have around you to get you through those tough spots. I mean, I can talk about, you know, clients paying late and the contracts, you know, being delayed, but it starts with your mindset, because all of those, to me, like when people say no, if I'm getting on consultation calls, I just think of it like my mindset is really good with that. Get through the no's to get to the yes. I'm a numbers person. It's a numbers game. You get through enough no's, ultimately you get to a yes.
Yeah, definitely. I think of being a womanpreneur or an entrepreneur as the greatest personal growth journey that you'll ever go on. Like, you've got to do the work.
Amen.
And and a lot of it is your own personal development, and mindset's part of it. You know, like being able to market yourself and say, you know, like, I'm a good XYZ, whatever you are. I hear so many people say, oh, I can't do that. You know, I can't say that. You know, so it's just, again, it goes back to your own personal mindset of working on that. And I think in jobs, you have some opportunities for personal development and professional development, but as an entrepreneur, you've got to choose to do some of that personal work, or it's just not going to work.
I agree. And, you know, like, I'm going to say shout out to your podcast as well, because part of that personal development, the mindset shift, it's feeding your mind with things that are going to be in your favor, and listening to podcasts, watching videos, or, you know, reading books. Lately, I've been into audiobooks more so than anything, because I'm a huge podcast listener. So I realized, I can absorb the audio books a lot faster. You know, that is feeding your mind. Even if you just take one or two things away from a conversation like this one, it resonated with you, so it stays with you. Or you read a book and it's like, man, that one quote just made a big impact. That is part of your personal development as an entrepreneur, as a business owner as well.
Definitely. Well, I want to thank you for being here today. It's been so much fun to talk with you about your journey and how people can make a choice to become a consultant or start a consulting business and make a difference in the world by doing it. So thank you.
Thank you, Donna, for having me. This was one. I knew we were going to have a great conversation, but it was even better than I thought.
Oh, good. So people can pick up your free resource, and we're going to have the link in the show notes. Are there any other places that are good places for people to connect with you?
All my social media channels are on my website. So come say hello on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the channels, right?
Great.
But start with my home base is my website, veronicasagastume.com.
Great. And be sure to pick up the Nurture Your Network guide there. And thank you so much, Veronica. And I hope you have a great day.
You too, Donna. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Visionary Womenpreneurs Radio. We can be found on all the major podcasting platforms such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, iPodcasts, Overcast, Stitcher, and Anchor, our host. I encourage you to download the platform that you love and listen to Visionary Womenpreneurs. Hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss an episode. And thanks for being one of our valued listeners. If you haven't had a chance to pick up the Visionary Womenpreneurs Field Guide yet, you can do so over at visionarywomenpreneurs.com. Right on our homepage, get that field guide and get started putting your vision and dream into action and make it happen.